Okay, so you've got a Midi Fighter 3D. Now you probably want to use one of our mappings that we've already created, or you want to build your own. I'm going to show you how to do both in Tractor. The first thing you'll probably want to do is get one of our mappings. To do that, you just go to maps.djtechtools.com, and then inside of Tractor, you want to go ahead and click on the Preferences tab, go down to the Controller Manager. The first thing I want you to do is save all of your existing mappings. And to do that, you just go to Export right here, and you just want to save your controller and keyboard mappings, nothing else, just these two right here, and go ahead and save those as safety or whatever you want to call them. Now you'll go ahead and bring in the mapping that we just gave you on our mappings page. You want to use this big import button right here. I've got one on the desktop. You want to go ahead and import controller mappings and effects settings, if that's also available. Might be right here. We're actually going to do that twice, just to make sure those effects settings come in. And now we're going to add back your original mappings, like your S2, your X1, your S4 mappings. And you're going to do that up here. You're going to add, import, navigate to the mapping that we just exported. So it was that thing I called safety. And that's going to add those original mappings to the new Midi Fighter 3D one that we brought in. Final step, make sure that your import and output is selected and that you have the Midi Fighter 3D selected in this window right here. And then that means that messages are going to be coming from the controller and back to this controller and not any others. Now let's say you want to create some custom mappings. Here's how you would do it. First thing we want to do is add a generic MIDI mapping and make sure that it's only listening to and talking to the Midi Fighter 3D. All right, so let's say we want to go ahead and map the tilts of the controller to some various things. The buttons are really easy. You just press learn and hit a button. But if you want to map the tilts, we just press learn here and tilt the controller to the left, and you'll see that it's mapped to CC 0, which is the left, or to the right, which is 2, the front is 1, and the back is 3. In this case, I actually want to map that filter to the rotation. So when I hold down this button, I want it to turn on a filter, and then as I rotate the controller, I want to change the value of that filter. So it's really simple. You just hold down the button and move the controller, and you'll see that CC 80 showed up. So that's mapped to that. And it's only going to work if you're holding down that button. You see right there in the GUI that the filter is moving as I move the controller, and the little snake LED thing is indicating where in that range I am. Final thing we would want to do is maybe say, hey, this filter is only working if the controller is picked up. There's a cool note that does that. So let's go to filter on. We're going to press learn, and then I'm going to pick up the controller, and you'll see that's F1. That's what happens when the controller's picked up. So when I pick up the controller, the filter's on, and then I can control the filter with this button. There are literally dozens of different possibilities, but as you can see, it's really, really easy to map the controller in any of the different ranges to any value you want. Now, the CC ranges are absolute for the entire controller, but the buttons have unique values per bank. So this button is sending out one note on bank 1, a different note on bank 3, so on and so forth. The shift buttons are also universal on the side, so they're each sending out a specific message that can easily be mapped in the software just by pressing that button. But that is also universal and not specific to the banks. All right, so finally, you can specify what colors are on the controller in the Midi Fighter utility software, and you can download this from midifighter.com. But you can actually send a MIDI message from your software to the Midi Fighter 3D and select a whole range of colors for each button, including various rates of blinking and different animations. In this case, let's say we wanted the master level to control one of the LEDs on the Midi Fighter. We go ahead and add an out for the master level. We just need to figure out what note this button is, so I'm going to add an in, or actually just learn it to this guy. So that's C2. So all we need to do is map the output on this guy to C2. Now if we get a track loaded up here, you'll see that this button is blinking with the master output level of Tractor. Now if you want to customize exactly how that works, all you need to do is alter the MIDI range. And each specific value in this MIDI range will actually send out a specific color, effect, or pattern. You're just going to have to play with them to figure it out. So a lot of the specific information is available in the MIDI Fighter setup guide. To get it, all you need to do is go to midifighter.com and click on the support materials link underneath the 3D.